On this episode of the Turnbuckle, WWE shareholder files class action lawsuit against Vince McMahon. WWE is looking to sell the company by the middle of the year, and there's belief that Vince McMahon will put his fingerprints on WWE's product after his return. Folks, we're rating your favorite wrestling move or some wrestling news because it's time for the Turnbuckle. In what could be the first of several copycat lawsuits, a WWE shareholder has filed a class action lawsuit against newly reinstated executive chairman Vince McMahon. Filed in Delaware's Chancery Court, Scott Fellows is claiming breach of fiduciary duty in line with Section 141 of the state's general corporation law. He's looking for invalidation of the bylaw changes McMahon made after returning to the board Friday in addition to costs and fees. Fellows is accusing McMahon of using his 81% company voting control to remove 3 board members and replace them with his hand-picked people, in addition to pushing through the aforementioned bylaw changes that include giving McMahon final say on any sale or media rights deal. The suit says McMahon violated Delaware law by taking control of any major WWE corporate decision and, quote, adding his cronies to the board. From the suit, McMahon lacks the power he purported to wield. Section 141A of the Delaware General Corporation Law, the DGCL, recognizes the inviolability of the board of directors' power to make significant decisions respecting the business and affairs of the company. The board members have an unremitting obligation to discharge their fiduciary duties. After making several requests to the board to return to WWE to oversee any possible company sale and or media rights deal, McMahon used his standing as the company's top shareholder to return officially last Friday as a board member and was reinstalled as executive chairman Tuesday. That last act followed his daughter Stephanie resigning from the company Tuesday as co-CEO and chairwoman. Nick Khan, who was co-CEO with her, now has the full title. If you're Vince McMahon, you've definitely been having a very eventful week. I mean, you know, you leave and then you come back and now you're being threatened to leave again. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. The major issue with this, at least for me, was the fact that when he came back, I didn't really see anything. Obviously, I saw something wrong with it, but I never saw anything like legally wrong with it. You know what I mean? I didn't really think anything of the fact that he came back and he sort of like pushed like 2 other people out of the way and then he rehired new people. That kind of just went straight over my head, which really says a lot about me. If I was ever in a corporate environment, okay, that's not really good. So is he the owner? Like, if he leaves the chairman position, is he still like, well, no, he is, because he owns like most of the shares. So that's really why I didn't think too much of it, because I was like, oh, okay, you know, it's just, you know, the owner of the company coming back and making sure that his company that he owns is being sold properly. The hope, again, is that this gets him out of here and we don't have to talk about this anymore and we don't have to worry about him. But again, man, I really don't think that that's going to do anything. But look, here's hoping, and only time will tell what actually happens. Next, we're going to be talking about WWE and how they're looking to sell the company by the middle of the year. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that WWE was looking to be sold by the middle of the year. Nick Khan was in LA on Monday and he met with some heavy hitters that could grease the wheels for a future sale. 2 of those big names in business happen to be the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Bob Iger, and Jimmy Pitaro, the CEO of ESPN. Several media companies, you know the names who all are on the hunt. Nick Khan was in Los Angeles when I was in Los Angeles, 1 hotel over from me. Didn't know it at the time. Nick Khan went to a football game Monday night, so he wasn't on Raw, and he met with some heavy hitters, because heavy hitters went to the college football championship game. Bob Iger, Jimmy Pitaro, so I guess those names will ring some bells. They are looking to sell by the middle of the year. JP Morgan is helping them. Saudi would be the one where they would actually, I think you see only key people as far as the thing that they want to go private. You know, that would be the one. The other ones are all public companies, and Endeavor obviously is also on the hunt, and you know there will be a decision made at some point, and you know there's definitely smoke to the Saudi Arabia story, but it's early. It's too early for the deal to be finalized. Reading a quote from Dave Meltzer is definitely a testament to just how good you are at reading and interpreting what is being, you know, said. Man, it is difficult to read what he's trying to say. All right, so that I wanted to talk about because it sounds like Saudi Arabia is not the owner of WWE. Right now, it sounds like it's still up in the air. It sounds like none of the sales have been finalized. And also, it seems as though that the report that I read yesterday about all of the reports about Saudi Arabia being bought and that sort of stuff are actually disputed. So it actually isn't true. No one is really like, you know, put their hand on top of them just yet. So I guess at the end of the day, we just got to wait and see. I guess how the sale goes, they said they were trying to do it by like the end of the year. So right now I assume that means that, they're in the process of doing it and they want all of this to be said and done and finalized by the middle of the year. So, I guess, just wait and see what happens, and hopefully it's not going to be Saudi Arabia. Hopefully it's going to be NBC or so they can stay on the USA Network and everything like that. Only time will tell. We're just going to have to wait and see who actually ends up buying it at the end of the day. Finally, there's belief that Vince McMahon will put his fingerprints on WWE's product after his return. While speaking on his Extra Life of Matt Hardy podcast, Matt Hardy was asked about McMahon, stating that he didn't plan to change the structure of content creation / creative. Hardy made it clear that it is just a matter of time before McMahon puts his fingerprints on WWE's product again. I feel like even if Vince is being sincere about that, he won't be able to control himself like that. If he's back, he's going to put his fingerprints on things. It's just who he is. It's absolutely who he is. There was someone, I would just say randomly without mentioning names, who said Raw felt different on Monday. I've got a feeling Vince may have had his fingerprints on it, which is interesting. I think if Vince comes back, I think he kind of continues as it is. And then you see a little more influence from Vince. A little more. And then it might get back to the point where he's going, damn it, this is my show and nobody's better at doing this than me. This is my baby. I'm going to raise my child and I'm going to see it through. It would be a slow process, but just knowing Vince, he's not my best friend, but I worked with him and I've been around him a lot. And I feel like I have a pretty good grip on his actions and kind of his thought process. As time would go on, you would see a little more and a little more and a little more until he got back to where he felt like he was controlling the helm of the ship. I agree with Matt Hardy on this one. I wouldn't put it past Vince to slowly eke his way back into, seeking out the, the whole, creation of, Raw and SmackDown and everything like that. The hope is that he stays as far away from it as possible, but that's just not going to happen, is it? Again, man, none of this is going to stop him. That's pretty much, I said all that to say that none of this is going to stop him. He's going to come back to being in charge, isn't he? He's going to come back to being in charge of creative. He's going to sell it to some random person who has no idea what WWE even is, and he's going to get it for like $6 million, and that's going to be it. And then he's going to stay in control. John Laurinaitis is going to come back. Bruce Pritchard is going to come back. If Bruce Pritchard hasn't already left, I don't think he has. I don't remember hearing anything about Bruce Pritchard leaving, but yeah, man, he's just going to get all of his cronies and his yes men back, and then he's just going to go back to running the WWE directly into the ground, and it's just going to be the worst. And there's going to be small inklings of oh wow, Vince actually knows what he's doing, and then it's going to go right back to being absolutely terrible. I don't know if it actually will happen. I'm not going to sit here and say that it is going to happen, because again, it's really hard to tell if something like that is actually going to happen in the near future, and I just hope it doesn't, man. I really don't want it to. Vince, man, just take a hint and go away. Just go away. Nobody wants you back. You're ruining the stock of the company, man. But again, man, if that was the case, man, he wouldn't be here. What do we talk about? WWE shareholders filing a class action lawsuit. The hope is that this is enough for Vince to be like, fine, I'll leave. But I don't really think that that's going to be the case, to be totally honest with you. I really don't think anything is going to stop this man from running WWE into the ground. I think he wants to do that just so he can be like, I created it and I destroyed it. It's really stupid. WWE is looking to sell the company in the middle of the year. I think that that's pretty much just their overall general goal. Right now, we're kind of looking through a bunch of different people at the moment, and we're still negotiating a bunch of different stuff, and there's a bunch of stuff still up in the air. Saudi Arabia, at the time of this recording, hasn't bought WWE. I mean, again, the day's not over, so we don't actually know, but it sounds like that's pretty much what they're trying to do. We just want to get this finalized by the middle of the year, so that way we don't have to keep talking about it. And finally, there's a belief that Vince McMahon's fingerprints will be all over creative control. Again, I more than likely see that something like that is going to happen. You obviously don't want that to happen, but I mean, Matt already made a good point that it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to slowly keep happening more and more and more and more and more until eventually Vince is just telling everybody what to do again. And again, I don't see why he's not doing that now, because he's the executive chairman. So he can literally just be like, yeah, whatever. But a lot of people were talking about how, it's happening in the public eye and everything like that. So if he starts doing that, then everyone's going to, be like, hey, you're not supposed to be coming back here and doing all that stuff, which I guess is what the, class action lawsuit is pretty much saying, hey, you can't just come back here and start doing all that stuff. So, man, fingers crossed, okay, that, he, gets caught and he has to end up leaving again, and we don't have to be talking about this anymore. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs all around.